Hey guys, today was a great day for all shareholders of GME and AMC, as one of the proposals by the DTCC passed, marking a great leap forward in the process of getting our beloved stocks to squeeze. The new ruling, which is called the NSCC-2021-801, is now in effect. I made a video explaining the repercussions of this ruling, so if you want a more in-depth coverage of it, I recommend you to watch the video linked in the description. For a quick reminder, this proposal essentially mandates that based on the position report hedge funds are in, the DTCC will calculate if it's necessary for such hedge fund to provide an upfront complementary liquidity deposit due to the risk they have taken up. The ruling essentially protects the DTCC as it attempts to regulate and manage the risk exposure that could potentially break the market, given that if the squeeze were to happen, the hedge fund would most likely default on the payments. This liquidity upfront down payment would essentially give credibility for hedge funds to show that they do indeed have the liquidity, or cash, necessary to cover positions in the event that things were to go upside down. However, not all is golden. At least not yet. This proposal only works in conjunction with another ruling called NSCC-002. This ruling would essentially allow for governing bodies like the DTCC to audit the positions that a member, such as a hedge fund, are in. It essentially gives them the ability to check that everything reported is as claimed and prevents hedge funds from lying or cheating their way out of the system. This ruling, the NSCC-002, is set to pass this very Friday. It can take up to 10 days for it to take effect, but it can also take effect immediately after it passes this very Friday as well. This is the beginning of the end for hedge funds. These developments will block the ability for hedge funds to effectively kick back the squeeze, and their days will now be numbered. These rules will limit their ability to short effectively from here on out as well. It doesn't only apply to meme stocks. These new rulings essentially block their ability to short effectively, as they will have to provide liquidity and constantly report their position to the DTCC. They will struggle greatly blocking price surges through illegal and sketchy manipulation of fake shares because they are going to be heavily scrutinized and audited all the time. Once a surge in volume starts occurring, and the stocks start moving higher and higher, and they are unable to stop it with real shares borrowed, this will most likely cause the squeeze. This is due to their inability to kick down the price by borrowing and making shares. This is about power. This is a change in who rules in the financial world. There is a transition of power happening right now where leverage over the markets is being restored back to the people. No longer do hedge funds hold a monopoly over market control. Those days are past us. It is literally for the first time a matter of time before margin calls start happening and our squeeze happens. This is the moment you guys have been waiting for. I know many of you will have a ton of questions, so I will try to address some of them beforehand. With this new development, the reason hedge funds haven't done anything is because, as I have said before, nobody is selling. They are literally trapped, so even with this news they cannot afford to do anything or close their positions because you guys are holding strong. Even if they started covering now instead of waiting for the squeeze to be forced to cover, if they started covering now it could potentially set the squeeze earlier. When I tell you, they are stuck in limbo waiting for their demise, I mean it. Another question I know we will get is what happens if these rulings aren't enforced? Well, this is where things get spicy and I don't see anyone providing clarification, so let me break this down easy for you. If rules are not enforced, they will cause investors, and I don't mean only retail investors, I mean foreign investors and other financial bodies, to not place credibility in the US markets. This will have a colossal disastrous effect on the economy that could potentially bring back another Great Depression. Do you think policy and lawmakers are going to risk this absolute chaos over a couple handful firms getting clapped back into oblivion? The US economy is barely recovering from the recession we had due to the COVID outbreak last year, and the dollar and overall sentiment from people are pretty pessimistic, which is why crypto keeps on rising non-stop. In essence, the United States of America cannot afford a blow like this, so you can rest assured that these new rulings will be enforced. And it isn't just me. I often let self-doubt whisper in my head because I want to test my own assertions. But again and again, data shows me that it isn't just me. I took a peek at Fidelity order flow volumetric data, and the degree to which the buy orders for both GME and AMC keep on growing suggests to me that a wave of enthusiastic apes from all over the world are no longer doubtful. Faith on these two stocks is at an all-time high. The community keeps on growing unlike anything I have ever seen. The most discussed stocks are routinely GME and AMC, and the media becomes ever so silent or reluctant to stop spreading fear-mongering articles. But as I have said before, I take those articles as a confirmation tool to buy more. And guess what? It isn't just me either. Looking at institutional ownership data, it appears that over $73 million have been allocated into AMC, for a total ownership of around 16.61% of the company. It shows that at no point did institutions ever sold, implying that they too believe and see the data like us and hold a gorilla grip on their shares as well. I am super excited and anxious about what will happen next, as these two new rulings will change the game on our favor. However, I can more or less know what to expect for tomorrow in price action, so let's quickly recap today's performance for both stocks starting with AMC so we know what the most likely outcome for tomorrow is. I want to take a moment and warn you guys that this take is my very own using my own analysis experience and tools. Know that hedge funds can pull the rug from under our feet with a surprise, and as such you should take the following as a most likely outcome or scenario for tomorrow. With that said, let's begin. We started pre-market with a massive surge in price action, breaking that 9.45 wall and running all the way to 9.73 with no problem. It goes to show you that once the squeeze happens, absolutely nothing will halt this stock. Upon market opening, hedge funds got to work and implemented two set of ladder attacks. The first one dropped the price to 9.27 before the stock bounced back strong to 9.56. Then the second batch of attacks happened, which brought AMC down to 9.17. The stock consolidated for a while before starting to test the VWAP line. That is when hedge funds got to work again, dropping the price to around 9.13, which is where the biggest support line lies for the day due to the heavy amount of consolidation it has had here. It was in the last hour that I was anticipating the next attack, and indeed that is what happened. At around 3:15 p.m., AMC experienced a vertical dip, implying that hedge funds wanted to break the consolidation and support wall we built all day so that tomorrow when the market opens they don't necessarily struggle too much attacking the wall again. AMC bounced back up to 9.19 and held a price range around it until it closed at 9.17. We can expect support at 9.13, at 9.08 and at a bit at 9.05. Based on today's performance, tomorrow I expect the price to test 9.22 resistance wall and most likely break it by tomorrow's pre-market. On the other hand, GameStop traded way more bullish in comparison and was increasingly more volatile than AMC. We started pre-market as predicted yesterday, with a surge up almost touching 165. Upon market opening, GME actually fought hard against the attempted ladder attack, and was mostly successful for a while. However, with the endless amount of printers hedge funds they did manage to dip the price a bit to slightly below 159. However, GameStop came back with a sudden surprise bullish wave of apes and broke the VWAP line, running over 165 with no issues. We have often talked about how it's becoming increasingly harder for hedge funds to print naked shares since all the volume we are seeing is bullish. The stock then was bled out for around 2 hours before it entered a bullish flag pattern and tested the resistance lines twice in a matter of a single hour. It was upon the second testing of the resistance line that hedge funds got serious about vertically dipping the price, which brought it back down to 159 again. You have to understand, the pressure of a stock being on a bullish flag pattern while simultaneously being right above the VWAP is a recipe for a huge run-up. It came to no surprise that the stock was heavily attacked. The price had to be brought down at any and all costs. On the last hour of trading, that is when I anticipated the stock to start testing previous support levels as AMC did. GME was again attacked and brought down to a mere 158 before surging back up to 160 with little struggle. GameStop closed at 159.48. We can expect support at 160, at 159.51, and at 158.87. As for tomorrow, based on today's performance, I expect GME to trade pre-market in a range of 158 and 160. I think GameStop will get closer to 160 and break it before markets open tomorrow. It is too bullish today for me to think it will dip lower in the pre-market tomorrow. Because both stocks tend to move quite similarly off of each other, the time to buy more of them is still between 11 p.m. and 1 p.m. This is a time frame where the stocks routinely show to be the weakest, as it is when the hedge funds allocate most of the attacks in order to keep the prices from gaining momentum and possibly breaking resistance walls. Drop a like and let me know what other stocks do you plan on buying once AMC and GME squeeze to the moon. And with that, I want to thank you for making it to the end of the video. Subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content, and I hope to see you here tomorrow. Thank you for being so awesome and sticking with me. You guys are seriously amazing. Thank you to the moon. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you tomorrow.